Let's go, Dynamo! Well, yeah, today I really wanted to talk about Canari, if that wasn't obvious. One of the really fun characters in Pokemon Legends ZA. While not a gym leader, she is a type specialist character that you need to defeat in battle in order to progress the story. In effect, a gym leader, but in name, not really. So as you know, in this game, you're meant to be participating in the ZA Royale. And upon reaching a certain rank, your promotion match is meant to be against Canari, who is a character that we actually get some hints on earlier in the game. In fact, in the opening cutscene, as the player character is on their way to Lumio City, you can actually see that Canari is on their phone. Then after you get settled, you meet Tarragon, who is the head of the Racine Construction Company, and for some reason his workers are wearing merch of somebody. He does also give you an item known as the Canari plush. Very interesting there. Anyway, back to the present, as we're supposed to be battling against Canari. Naveen, who had been a little standoffish here and there and pretty snarky, reveals that he actually is a big fan of Canari, who is a streamer, so he knows that she won't just battle anybody. Instead, we have to go to an event that she hosts, where we need to compete against other fans and the winner will receive a special prize. I do really like this moment for Naveen. We get to learn a little more about him and his personality, and is also a fun way for him to contribute without directly battling in the ZA Royale. So heading up to the guard and telling him the password, which is "Let's go Dynamo," a phrase that Canari and all of her fans use, we infiltrate the competition and have Naveen talking to us through an earpiece. We get to meet a bunch of the other fans who are all normal people aside from the #1 fan, and he looks like, exactly as you would expect. Canari appears on stage in a hologram form, and I think that is a really fun idea because that was an element in the original X and Y that is expanded upon here in Legends ZA, and for somebody famous like this, it does also kind of make sense for them to not necessarily be like super present. Like, yeah, she is there and she's hosting, but she is also a gamer streamer, potentially with safety concerns, but it does also contribute to streamer inspiration, especially with VTubers. We start off with a few trivia questions, which are pretty simple, so Naveen doesn't actually tell us the answer, allowing us to interpret for ourselves. Because they're simply true or false questions, you just stand on the section that you think is the right answer. The first one felt easy and I was able to guess it, but during the second one I didn't really know what to say, so I just decided to follow the #1 simp who I knew would get the correct answer. And then for the final question, Naveen does actually tell us the answer, which, was something else I could have guessed as well. So it's not exactly like we're getting fully coached or anything. In the context of a story, this does all make sense. After the group has been narrowed down, the next challenge is to find her Electros's favorite treat. And Naveen lets us know we need to go to this one specific cafe and order a special type of Lumios Galant, which is just to get it like extra crispy because that's what Electros likes to chomp down on with its teeth. Honestly, totally perfect for the big eel like that. So then getting back to the event, the only people to move on to the next round are you and the #1 simp. So it comes down to a battle between the two of us. Which, by the way, I haven't talked a whole lot about the battles in this game, but they are really fun. I do enjoy them. The battle system is a great time, and in usual Pokemon fashion, during a gym challenge or island trial or whatever you want to call this thing, it is a good way to break things up and give you something to actually do. Obviously, I make quick work of Bubble Bass over here, so now that means I'm the winner and I get a prize of my choice. And so I challenge Canari to a battle right then and there. Well, obviously maybe not right then and there because she's a hologram, so instead we're told to head over to the Racine Construction Company. And doing so, we meet up with Tarragon again, who very interestingly has a lot of Canari merch right behind him. He tells us that if we want to get to Canari, we need to battle him first. So yeah, we head out to the garage and have a battle there. I honestly don't know what I was expecting him to have because we knew that Canari was an electric type Pokemon trainer, so maybe Tarragon would be something similar or just have a bunch of Pokemon that have no specific type, but it turns out all of his Pokemon are actually ground type. That did make it a bit difficult with my original lead, but the rest of the battle was really fun. I do love the way that Stealth Rock and other hazards actually work in this game because of the battle system, and this one being confined to a garage wasn't too bad actually. But hold on, it turns out he has a Mega Evolution, and I don't know why I wasn't expecting that because I think we can kind of assume that every important character has one, and especially too, they all have a Mega Stone somewhere in their design. So this was the first time I saw a Mega Excadrill, and dang, alright, it becomes an even longer drill. I think it is really funny, it looks kinda neat, similar to some old kaiju as well, but totally, that thing is a drill that could pierce the heavens. With my team of Pokemon, I'm able to take him down, and that is when we talk to Tarragon and get the most interesting reveal here, that being the Canari hologram we were talking to at the event was actually him, using motion tracking, and I'm assuming a voice changer because there's no voice acting in this game, but we can assume. And it was just like, huh, hold on, wait, what's going on? A really funny idea that kind of plays on what we saw with Iono was revealed to us as a streamer before the release of the game. A few fans joked around and speculated what if she was a VTuber and when we meet her in actual person she would look like someone completely different, but it turned out she just looked like that in the flesh. So seeing that idea finally integrated here with Tarragon and Canari was really funny. But it isn't all a fabrication. Canari is actually a real person, and she is Tarragon's granddaughter. Tarragon actually just handles a lot of the fan interactions so that Canari can focus on her gaming, which, is really funny. I do kind of like their relationship. As we see, it gets a little weird, but I think nobody can deny that Tarragon is actually her #1 fan. Turns out Canari is right behind us the entire time, and she was streaming from her gamer room. How all of her viewers watching the stream never complained about the Hippowdon in the next room over, I'll never know. But I do love her little gamer room. It has a bunch of merch everywhere and some interesting posters, which as it turns out are actually a reference to some Vocaloid stuff. But I just know she is going to end up being a fan favorite character. And maybe hopefully one of those characters who Pokemon Company favors a whole lot and just uses everywhere in merchandise. You know the 5 trainers I'm talking about. So now it's time for the big battle, and a bunch of workers show up to cheer her on. And in all honesty, that is one of the funniest things about this whole construction company, is that everybody working for it is just automatically drafted into being a fan of Canari. Or maybe everybody working for Tarragon was a fan before and that's why they worked there. But anyway, let's go Dynamo because it is time for the battle. And just all the animations that Canari has are really great. Obviously, all of her Pokemon are electric type, and I'm not going to break down the battle bit by bit, but it was a fun one and it gave me a decent challenge because my starter was for Alligator, so I couldn't just break him out from the very beginning and I had to be careful with how I used him. Instead, relying on a few of the other Pokemon I had that were either ground type or new ground type moves, or Venusaur, who I chose as my secondary starter. With her Pokemon being just about at the level 40 range, it was a decent challenge. Thankfully though, I was ready. And I was also especially ready for the reveal of her Mega Evolution. Because this was an important character being built up and her ace Pokemon Electros was built up as well, I knew that it would be undergoing a Mega Evolution. So we get the little cinematic and here it comes, and it is really funny. Like a lot of other people, I kind of agree that Electros looks a little weird in how it's been implemented in the 3D games. Yes, we all know it does levitate, but it looks a little weird compared to how it did in the original debut in black and white. But I do appreciate how the arms end up being extra mouths, though I kind of get backed into a corner and so I have to bring out Mega for Alligator, but thankfully I got rid of most of the HP, so it only took 1 hit to knock out. So yeah, I rank up, and the aftermath of the battle, oh boy, it's great. We already kind of had it established that Canari was a gamer, so now we see that she is subject to gamer rage, actually just like going off a bit. And there's a bunch of symbols in the text box too. I think that's implied to be swearing. We've got it. We've got swearing in a Pokemon game. Even though it is censored, it's still a hilarious moment. But oh man, I kind of feel a little bad for Tarragon because she does kind of blame him for losing first, and that's why she lost. But at least he isn't bothered. He just says, oh, I'll make it up to you. I'll buy you something. And she's like, yeah, cool. So yeah, they got a funny relationship with her being the spoiled gamer granddaughter and him being the overly loving and very supported grandfather. And to cap everything off, she gives us an autographed plushie because she knew that we were getting help from somebody else. So we give it to Naveen during dinner as a thank you. So that was basically the battle and the whole event, and yeah, it was a really fun one. There are some rematches we could have with Canari later, but for now what I was really interested in was this whole event, because being a Pokemon fan who is also into gaming and streamer culture, it's a really fun idea to see how all of that is adapted into the games. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, her challenge was a lot more fun than Iono's. Also, just the way that her existence was built up earlier in the game in a pretty natural way was a great idea, and adding the extra element of her grandfather made it feel a lot more significant. The other fun thing is that it does actually remind me a bit of Clement's gym challenge in X and Y, because think about it, he was an electric gym leader with a family member involved in the gym challenge, which was a quiz. I'm almost certain that Tarragon and Canari were meant to mirror Bonnie and Clement in that way. But for the newest Pokemon game, yeah, I thought this was really fun. The only thing that really could have enhanced it was some voice acting, and maybe the quiz could have been a little more interesting and difficult. But for the story, the characters, the actual main battles, those were basically perfect. So let me know what you think of Canari and Tarragon in the comments below, and let me know if you battled them yet and how that went. Also tell me, would you buy a bunch of Canari merchandise? I totally would. But until that happens, you can definitely get some GatorX merch. That's right, over at gatorx-shop.fourthwall.com, I've got a few designs out there. But anyway, maybe I should get back to streaming and YouTubing so I can hopefully reach 100,000 subscribers really soon. And who knows, maybe Canari would want a collab. Is that too cringy of a line to end on? I don't know. Let's go Dynamo! Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the great Gators, Toucan Nia, That's Ven, Alex Switch Shiny Hunts, TBC Plumbing, Queued Up, Davida, Cosmo Zero, Tyler Hopper, Koi 13, Cemetery Hill, Cheez-It62, Gator Kid 509, TF, Mathaclog 947, Taijirai, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes, a Discord server, see videos early, and watch our members' podcast, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I will catch you all later.
Pokémon trading card game Black and White is your gateway to a bigger Pokémon world. 70 new Pokémon, more than 110 cards. Pokémon trading card game Black and White, in stores now. Each booster pack of 10 cards sold separately. Cards vary by pack.